If we could please stand for a moment of silence for our veterans, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Emmett, if I could have roll call, please.
Mrs. Fiorella?
Here.
Mr. Hope?
Here.
Mr. Gogolski?
Here.
Mr. Enslin?
Excuse.
Mr. Gershi?
Here.
Mr. Gomita?
Excuse.
Mr. Auckland?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
And Mr. Wood?
Here.
Madam President, you have 7 board members present. Dr. Barrett?
Here.
Dr. LaRosa? Here. Ms. Emmett is here. Mr. Gogorski?
Here.
Mrs. Bradley?
Here.
Mr. Pigeon?
Here.
Mrs. Miller? Here. Ms. Watson?
Here.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Fitzsimmons?
Here.
Mr. Knight?
Excuse.
Mrs. Geyer?
Here.
Mrs. Gregory?
Here.
Mrs. Liptak?
Here.
Mr. Seaman?
Here.
Mr. Dunda?
Here.
Mr. Black?
Here.
Solicitor Muir?
Here.
If we could start with number 5, the approval of minutes, please.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on October 7th, 2019.
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Mr. Gershi and that's seconded by Mr. Hope. Any questions or comments on those? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. And any abstaining. Okay, that motion does carry. A motion for number 6, please.
I move to accept the treasurer's reports from the general, food service, and student activities accounts for the months of July through September 19th.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Gogolski and then seconded by Mr. Wood. Again, any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. And any abstaining? That motion does pass. If we could have a motion for number 7, please.
I move for the approval of bills from the general and food service accounts.
Second.
Again, that motion was made by Mr. Gogolski and seconded by Mr. Wood. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any abstaining? Or opposing, I'm sorry? And any abstaining? Okay, that motion does pass. Any questions on accounting of the taxes? Okay, we're going to move over to Mr. Black for our recognition.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I'd like to thank the board and administration for giving us an opportunity to recognize tonight's student athletes, the coaches, and their families. First is Madison Kamer, sophomore. Coach Warner, Laura Warner, is going to talk about Maddie's. This weekend, she participated in the state championships down in Hershey for cross country.
Thank you for the opportunity for coaching this year for cross country. Maddie has done an outstanding job in the cross country this season. She was nominated by the other coaches for a second all-star team, and which she certainly, we all know that she deserved. She did fantastic during the season. She was always up there and as a top 3 or 4 runners. And she did a fantastic job. And then at districts, she wowed us all. We couldn't believe that was Maddie coming across the finish line, and we were thrilled, you know. And she qualified for states, and so we went to Hershey this past weekend, where Maddie again did a fantastic job and competed against some amazing runners, in which Maddie is an amazing runner herself. And I wanted to thank everybody and Maddie. Support through Maddie's endeavors in the cross-country season. It takes a lot of patience from the parents getting the students to their activities, and Thank you.
Maddie, I just wanted to say one thing real quick. Of course, I got to see you run not only on practices, but at all the meets. And your hard work and dedication was really just inspiring, not only for the coaches, but also for the other students. And you really worked hard to get where you were. And thank you, Lynn, for all that you did, the food, whatever. It was so appreciated. And Coach Warner, I wanted to say this is your first year coaching, and you did a phenomenal job. You're so positive and encouraging. It was a true pleasure to work alongside of you and just see how you acted with all the kids. So great job. Congratulations.
So we also have our girls volleyball team here who just, first of all, completed an undefeated league season, as well as winning the first ever district title. So I'd like to introduce Coach Thorpe, if you could step up, please.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you having us here. We really appreciate the support the whole school community has given us throughout the year. Parents, for all that you've done for us too. We've had a pretty remarkable year. The girls set some pretty high goals to start the year, and so far we've been achieving them. Like Mr. Black said, we had an undefeated league season, 18-0. We won the Scranton Showdown tournament. We were undefeated there. First ever district championship for the school. Counting all of that, tournaments and everything, right now we are 26-2. And there are only 16 teams left in the state. We are one of 16 teams that are still competing. So we play tomorrow night down at Wilkes against Garden Spot High School. They're a high school out of suburbs of Lancaster. But we play them at Wilkes tomorrow night at 7 o'clock and hope to move on. This is Jada.
Stand up.
Allie. Kaylee. Skylar. Trinity. Sydney. Sabrina. Rebecca. Trina. And Rachel.
Well, you're
Do it again. Shots fired.
Next time. I have to say, Darren, your team, they worked so hard together, and it was awesome to see how you guys work together as a team. And you did a phenomenal job. You guys can be so proud of everything that you accomplished this year. It's amazing. So great job, and we'll be crossing our fingers for you guys tomorrow. So good luck tomorrow.
Congratulations. He's very proud. It's a tremendous accomplishment. Please never forget that, because you'll carry that with you throughout your entire lives, not just from an athletic standpoint, but when you go into a job interview, when you have a tough day at work, you'll think back to those days and remember what it takes to push through. And, we're honored to have you here, and we're very proud of you. So good luck tomorrow. We'll see you.
Thanks very much. Tonight we'd also like to recognize an outstanding senior, Angelia Reggie. Angelia is the daughter of Maria and Stephen Reggie of Waymark.
I want to thank Mr. Gregorski for inviting me, the board for having me, my parents for all the support they've given me throughout the years. I want to start off with my academics. So I pretty much have taken all AP and honors courses throughout my 4 years. The most difficult, probably AP and honors chemistry. Mrs. Senkai is a very, very challenging teacher, but she pushed me, and I'm really happy with the outcome that I had in that class. Very thankful for her. And after school activities, I've done NAHS, NHS, FBLA, and student government. I'm currently serving as the senior class president this year. We've been working on a couple things, and I'm very excited about the future. And for FBLA, my freshman year, I got to go to Anaheim, California which was very, very exciting. I'm very thankful for that. It was the first time that I got to go away from my parents, so I got a lot of independence there, leadership skills, communication skills. It was an indescribable experience. I'm very, very thankful for that. Outside of school, I have a job. I'm working at a restaurant. It's definitely difficult balancing work and school and all my activities, family, friends, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And future plans, I plan to attend a four-year university with a major in finance and a minor in economics. I actually visited a few schools in New York a couple weeks ago, and I loved it. I hope to live there one day, hopefully go to school. So yeah, I want to thank you guys again for having me.
Thanks, Angelia. Now, if we can have your parents stand up and be recognized also, please.
Angelia, congratulations. You know, you never get this position by not hard work, and so your hard work and your dedication has paid off, and you'll be a success farther than Western Wayne in the big city. But I hope that you always come back and visit your stomping ground. So congratulations. And is Roger a big tipper? If not, tomorrow he will be, right? Okay, we're good on student recognition. Right now we would like to honor Bill Gershie. He is 16 years on the board, so Pennsylvania School Board Association would love to give him this very expensive plaque, and you will cherish that and honor it. I just have a little thing from PSBA about the legacy of a school board service. It is firmly embedded in the history of our nation and its commitment to public education. The Pennsylvania School Boards Association was founded in 1895, and it has a rich history as the first school board association established in the United States. Today's school districts are expected to offer more services along with world-class instruction with limited resources. These expectations provide a tremendous challenge for school board directors who are unpaid volunteers who work tirelessly giving of their free time away from their families to contribute to the schools and the communities they serve. So it gives me great pleasure, Bill, to recognize you for your service in this district. And I thank you so much for all that you do. You're just positive and encouraging, and it's truly a pleasure to have been with you.
For that, but thank you.
What you're doing don't ruin it, okay? Hang that on your wall.
Thank you very much, Denise. You know, my whole life, working life, I've been involved with working with kids, and it's not about me. It's about the students. And my focus, as I've been a member of the board, is I've always tried to promote what is best for the students, to give them a quality education, so that when they get out there in the world and compete, they can deal with it and be among the best competitors. So again, it's about the students. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, at this time, if you guys want to leave, you are more than welcome to. We thank you all so much for coming out tonight. I know it seems like it's only 15 minutes, but it's always so great to see all the students that come before us. So thank you so much, and thank you to the parents who really took the time to come out tonight and celebrate with them. So thank you. And you're more than welcome to head out if you want. Homework.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
See, awesome.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, at this time, if there's anyone for the public who who would like to say something?
Item 13 on your agenda tonight, the athletic complex renovations. Last meeting, you went over a lot of details. When will the public be able to see the information that you're considering? Costs, items to be repaired, what your choices are, when you want to accomplish those goals? Because I know a lot of times in the past, we would have a presentation, all the information would be placed up on, we could see the presentation. Do you have an idea when we might be seeing that information?
Probably the next work session.
Yeah,
Is-
right as soon as the line item gets approved, so we'll have the scope laid out for us.
Okay.
It's
Some
gonna
of
take
it,
some
some
more
of it is
discussion.
still fluid, we're still in discussions about
Okay.
it. So
All
we're
right.
just approving it not to exceed a certain limit at this point. So primarily it's, the main focus is down at the athletic complex to
Okay.
update all of the facilities that are
I know
beyond
your
their,
track and your
the track,
your turf.
lighting,
lighting.
Bleachers.
bleachers,
Bleachers.
as well as storage and
Okay.
potential reconfiguration of the field house depending on,
Right.
that's something that's still up in the air.
Similar to what they would do with CM3 when we were going through the renovations in the building, something like that?
I don't think to that extent, but yes, it will be discussed at the work session, and it will be laid out to the public in that aspect
Okay.
prior. This is just to get the funding and not to
Mhm.
exceed that, but it will be discussed in
Okay.
public on the work
And will
session.
that be published on our district webpage? Because I know there's a delay, like the
Right,
meeting
exactly,
minutes
yeah.
for last month's
Right.
or not, and then we wouldn't be able to see that until
Right.
after?
Well, since you're here for the work sessions, I think that's where the most of the discussion happens, so I'm guessing it's,
Okay.
we're gonna start the talks at the next work session.
Okay. But unfortunately, our work sessions aren't recorded as minutes, and there is no video on the web page, so it makes it difficult for people that are interested, because not everybody knows
Right,
this video is on YouTube.
I see what you're saying, yes.
Right, so there's that little gap in between
Right.
when we discuss and when it actually becomes official minutes, and we don't do minutes for committee meeting. So I had a question if we could somehow come up with a way for people in the community to know when we're
We can
talking
discuss
about
if
$1.8 million.
How we can do that, we'll
Which
discuss that.
information that
Yeah.
should be published, and we can put it somewhere on the website.
On the web,
That's
on our webpage, the
That's
West Wing
exactly-
webpage.
We have like a 15-minute presentation before our meeting, like just what the plans are when we finalize everything. And so it's public.
Yeah, that looks about that.
Might have the engineering firm come in and do a
Get
small
Joe on that.
presentation.
And that would provide us for how much
Yeah, we
time?
can do that.
About how much time then for the community to know? Since we're talking about like
Sure.
We
1.8 million.
anticipate the project to start at the end of school,
Mhm.
if not sooner if possible, and then hopefully be completed at least most of it by the end of the, I guess, early August,
Okay.
late July.
All right. But as far as the decision, the board decision, like in between when you're presented with your information to a more extent, I know there were several questions about storage and such, what you wanted to do. You had a lot of choices to consider.
Yeah.
How much time in between when you guys have that information that we're gonna vote on, so that we can make sure that the community can see it. That was one of my concerns, because there was a lot of information you guys were talking about. You had a lot of decisions to make
Yes.
Okay.
about what was going on.
We'll be sure to get that together and figure out the
Okay.
timeline and get that out.
Great.
Okay?
Great.
Anybody else from the public have anything else they wanted to say? Okay.
I would like to ask them more, please, if no one else has anything else that they would like to say. Okay. The Community Connections portion of the Pennsylvania School Board Association, I know you all are quite familiar with that group. There are some questions that I had, if we could please. Public engagement policy, I'm not familiar with that. I'm not sure that we've had a need to talk about it at a board meeting. And I certainly don't expect anybody to have this page memorized, but it's on their website that you can look at. It's page 27, and it comes under the heading Community Connections is how it's listed. It's on page 27. So they call it public engagement policy. And it's a way for the community to have the board engage with us. A vision for the district, align resources with goals. Very nice, nicely written. It's something that I'm going to start investigating in how we could accomplish this goal, because it seems like it's a very positive, district websites, Facebook, we already have that, transparency, as the community senses that the schools are their schools and that their schools are in good hands. So it's all a very positive thing. I've already started talking to some of the other members of the community that are interested in this sort of thing, and there's an interest for us to form groups to actually start producing. When I was talking to Harrisburg, their main thing was that we should accomplish change through voting, which seems a rather terminal way of having discussions. Your discussion is change, but it means changing the whole person as compared to changing as how we communicate. So I think this is a much more positive way than terminating an entire position and starting over again. So I'll be talking to a couple more members in the hopes that we can start using this group. And I certainly am always open to anybody that would like to, have input, because this is not a group for citizens. This is something that school board members have access to. So it's certainly something that I'd be open to with anybody that would like to become involved. Things like the Veterans Memorial Auditorium, places like that, and groups that are different than like the athletic groups that all the involved parents have. These are different kinds of community groups. So that's something that we're going to definitely investigate and try to make positive changes in the way we communicate, something different for our district. And if anybody does have anything, public engagement policy, that I could look at, I would certainly be glad to see that. No sense of reinventing the wheel if we already have something that's on there. I wasn't aware of anything. I talked to some of our older citizens, and they weren't.
The policies are on the website under board documents. You'll
I'm
see
sorry?
Our policies are on the website as well.
I
Under
took,
board
I,
documents.
under board documents, so there's one listed as,
Board of Education, drop down.
it would be listed under
Board doc.
public engagement policy.
I'm not sure if it's worded as
Right.
public engagement, but we do have community relations, I believe, of some sort. But
So it would be listed as
You can
community
take a look at what's
relations.
there.
Yeah, I'll try again. I looked at it, it didn't jump out at me. And the other thing was a positive thing, too. I was able to go to a concert at the University of Scranton, the jazz band, and one of our students, our students that I'm kind of proud of, it's my nephew, Alex Curtis, was one of the saxophone players, and he was part of the band that night. And they had a guest soloist on there, and he was literally shoulder to shoulder with this really accomplished musician. So it was really neat to see that one of our Western Wayne students was up there right front and center doing the saxophone. He's really quite an amazing musician. I know that the person who was in charge, the conductor, asked us